Welcome to the European Parliament. Every time it's meeting here in the capital of the Europeans, Strasbourg, there is a session by the Intergroup for Animal Welfare going on. Every Thursday they meet when the Parliament is here. And the Intergroup is composed by parliamentarians from all countries, from all political groups. But does it have power? I will mention one example of where there is a lack of power and where the situation is a catastrophe. That's Romania, the brutal killing of dogs in Romania. For more than a year, we know by visits of parliamentarians from here how bad it is. Carmen, you are the president of the Romanian Association for Animal Welfare. You've been invited here to tell the parliamentarians how bad it is. Could you, in a few words, describe the present situation?
The situation is very bad. Actually, you cannot describe in words. You can see. You have to see the situation. It's a cruel situation everywhere. In the street, during the catching and transporting the dogs, and in the public shelters of the city halls where the animals starve to death or they do not receive at least water. They don't receive anything. No medical care, no observation from any point of view. This situation, unfortunately, is for a long time, for about 20 years, and most gravely situation it's since 2001, when the killing program has started. Even there are some provisions that stated that we have to respect the animal rights, and they are defined in the law very clear. Nothing is respected actually. On the other hand, I would underline that there is a huge discrepancy between the situation from the public shelters of the city halls and the budgets allocated for the management of the stray dogs that are really huge. So it is a difference between the reality behind the fences of the shelters and the budget spent fictively by the municipalities for the stray dog management.
I have learned that there are cities in Romania where there is no problem. How comes?
There are only small cities where there is not a problem, and this
is a city where I've been told that the former Prime Minister of Romania, Emil Boc, has the situation under control.
Yeah, because they implemented actually the only solution for solving the stray dog problem, meaning neuter, vaccinate and return program. We can give and adoption and parallel with education program in schools. There are some places like Oradea, like Lugoj, like Cernavodă, like Sibiu, Cluj, where the situation is much better because they run this kind of programs.
It's interesting that you're mentioning Sibiu, because that's a city where the new president of Romania, Klaus Iohannis, was mayor.
Yeah.
Have you heard positive reactions on the stray dog problems from him?
No, we had positive reaction on the time when he was mayor. He did not agree with mass killing of dogs. He says the only solution for solving this problem is neutering dogs and returning in the street. We are speaking, when we say return, we are speaking only about the dogs who are not, of course, aggressive, who are healthy. But after he was elected, we did not hear any positive reaction at our calls, and especially of the calls of European citizens.
I've invited two more guests here. Marlene, could you please present yourself?
Well, I'm Marlene Wartenberg. I'm working in the animal welfare field as a lawyer since 12 years, and I built up the European Policy Office of F.n.p.a 7 years ago, and we focused completely on companion animals because it was not discussed on the European level before.
You have a hard job in Romania.
That's true. Yeah, I have been several times there. I just can underline what Carmen is saying.
But how can you contribute to a solution?
Well, my work was to work on the European level as a lobbyist. That means to give suggestions and consultancy what the different EU institutions can do.
Good. Since you're representing one of the largest NGOs on animal welfare, could you present yourself and the organization?
Sure. I'm the director of Europe for World Animal Protection, which is a global animal protection organization. And yes, we have our activities too in Romania.
And how are you working there?
What we try to do is start a bottom-up approach and a top-down approach at the same time. So by engaging with the national authorities, which is complicated, I must admit that, and at the same time working with a few local municipalities on getting a responsible, humane and sustainable way of managing a dog population to get that implemented. By the combination of the two, we hope that things will move in the right direction.
I suppose you are not in a position where you can allow yourself to talk about corruption. So I will talk about corruption and ask you, do you think that will ever stop?
Well, I think if you look at the number of people in jail in Romania at the moment, government officials
who have been involved,
all levels, accused of corruption, accusations at the highest level in the national government,
which is the Prime Minister Ponta.
Yes, and the mayor of Bucharest, and so there are all kinds of accusations. So you could also say that the country is trying to clean the mess up.
How comes that the mess is still there when you say that there is an awareness? Because I've learned that even the press is aware of and is talking about what's going on. How comes that nothing is really happening?
On what?
On the cruel, brutal way of killing dogs and the corruption.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it is a very complicated situation, and without any doubt, corruption plays a role in that. Yes, but what we would like to emphasize always is that there are some positive things going on as well, and let's find those and make them bigger.
Best practice.
Showcase them to others, inspire others by doing that. I'm not saying that will be enough. I think some pressure coming out of Brussels will definitely help to get that going. But it's not all bad, and it's not good, I think, to condemn a country and a whole people. It's not good.
And being a lawyer, have you scrutinized the law of Romania? For instance, the part where you see violations of what I expect should be prohibited by law when people having a companion animal, a dog at home, realize that their home is entered by these criminals. The dog is taken away from them and killed in front of them.
Yes, I just can tell you that we in the moment as F.n.p.a in Romania, we have done more than 30 legal actions, and they are still ongoing.
In which way have you done this? Are you asking for prosecution?
Yes, sued, yeah.
And what were the worst cases? The one I mentioned, for instance, or what are you focusing on?
I think the worst case would be to have a negative court decision, but I think in the last year or 2 years, maybe the judges will not dare anymore to make so clear decisions against the will of the people and also against the will of the European citizens, because this is very clear. I have heard from the cabinet that 80% of the letters are protests against the Romanian situation. So I think there is a consciousness, but the acting persons in the public administration who are linked to the stray dogs, they are the problem for the moment, for the enforcement.
Carmen, the health situation has been mentioned as a possible way to come forward in this. The rabies, the problem has been mentioned, but to me it seems even more brutal the mental situation in which the Romanians are, from all ages, from the childhood until elderly people, who are watching what's going on.
It is very known that abuses against animals produce mental disorders in human beings, and we have in this respect many cases that arrive at our organizations like complaints. After, for example, when the killing program has started in 2013, we received a lot of messages in this respect. Even people who died because of abuses that they saw in the street during that period. And also we have a study, international studies that was made in Romania, in a town, that demonstrates that abuse against animals affected a lot the mental of children. It was a study made on children between 14 and 16 years old, and 84% of the children are affected, recognize that they are affected by animal abuses that they saw in the street, and they saw for many times. In parallel with this study that was done by universities from United States, from UK, it was made in Berlin, a study on the same number of children, and only 32% of the children say that they are affected, and they saw these abuses only inside and only once. So we can see a big difference. And from point of view of physical health, we can say that yes, Romania, it's under a huge risk of rabies because there are some recent legislative disposition by what the rabies vaccinations can be made only after the dog is microchipped. If rabies vaccination it's a program that is financed by the government, microchipping has to be paid by the owners. And we are speaking especially about rural areas where there are the most of dogs with owners, and where the people do not have financial possibilities to pay, to chip. So according to the official answer that we received at our request from National Sanitary Veterinary Authority, only 1 million of dogs in Romania from the own dogs from rural areas are vaccinated against rabies. That means a little more than 20% of the dogs with owners. So this is a very huge risk for public health.
Ruth, in which way can an organization of that size of the organization you are representing have an impact on what's going on in one country?
Well, as I mentioned before, we are promoting a top-down and a bottom-up approach. So we're working with municipalities to get DPM dog population management
Yes, but
implemented.
reaching results, is that at all possible?
Well, there are results, and as you mentioned yourself before, there are, and it's a limited number, I know, but there are cities, there are villages where the situation is under control.
Yeah, but can
in
you
a good way.
afford to put pressure and put that much attention to one country?
Well, obviously, there are. If you look at the world and at the global map, and you look at animal welfare problems, and not only dogs, but farm animals, animals living in the wild, wildlife, then yeah, there's a lot of work to do.
But what I'm up to is asking you actually, wouldn't it be for your organization more relevant to put pressure in Brussels on, for instance, the EU Commission?
Yes, and that is what we're doing. We're also working with an organization like the OIE, where we are an official observer. That's let's say the World Health Organization for Animal Health. So we have an observer status there, and we are working with them on that regional platform to get the DPM rolled out in the Balkan countries as a top priority. So we are doing things at that level to get it done. It is not our strength, because I think that was what you were asking. It's not our strength to do a lot on the ground work in Romania itself. That is up to local NGOs to do that. But at that level we can make a difference.
Marleen, again, you're a lawyer. In the neighbor country, Bulgaria, they are about to set up an animal police court. Could anything like that be done in Romania?
Yes, this is exactly what I was suggesting what has to be done on the member state level, because of course the EU level is one thing, but you need the political will of the member state. And if there is a political will, you can do really amazing things, as we see in Bulgaria, that exist on the same time. And we have a very good animal welfare law. Also here with our office we have been involved. We created a systematic birth control program in Bulgaria. We have now this wonderful enforcement tool of the animal welfare police, because a law is a piece of paper, but it has to be made alive. That means you need the citizens to understand, to be informed, and then to follow. And I'm really very happy about this step. And the other thing is we have, for example, a best practice with the municipality of Sofia, and we have their neutering project, a clinic, managed together with really excellent results, and can prove that if you do it systematically and you are informing the citizens and you have a good law and a good enforcement, it can work.
Carmen, final question to you. Any hope?
Yes, we have to hope. Otherwise, we cannot. We do not have why to fight. Yes, we hope, because actually it's normal to go to make steps into civilization and to find higher steps, higher levels of morality. It's actually the normal way, yeah, and it's a correct one. Yeah, I think in spite of all this, Romania made some steps. Even Romania, it is known to be the country with the highest and the most abuses against animals. Actually, it made some steps, at least theoretically, because we have a law, animal protection law, a good one, but unfortunately it is not respected. So our problem is actually in the hand of the authorities who are responsible with monitoring and implement the law, stray dog management legislation and also animal protection law, but they don't do it. They are completely inefficient, corrupted, and they prove that they are complice with those personnel of the city hall who manage the animal shelters.
Carmen, I admire your work. Keep fighting.